back, everybody. How exciting, right? Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at this weather here. This is the weather loop of what's going on, and as you can see, there's a big old nasty hurricane out here that's bearing down on the East Coast. All right, now I've hear a lot of talk about what's going on. There's a lot of people that are concerned in New York and New Jersey. They are evacuating people from the area. They're asking people to get out of harm's way. Apparently they're going to be closing down the subway and some of the other services that are out there during the course of this time so they can eliminate less problems. All sounds really smart what they're doing, thinking ahead, planning how they're going to get through this scenario. And keep in mind, they just had that big earthquake in the East Coast that rocked all the way from Virginia, Washington, D.C., all the way up into New York. They've had a couple other little earthquakes just on their own, small ones, twos. I believe they might have had a three-pointer, and now they've got this coming in. So New York's experiencing a few things a little bit different than what they normally experience. So we just have to keep them in our thoughts and prayers and send out some positive vibes that maybe this whole hurricane will just dissipate before it even hits anybody. Alright, we'll check back with this in a bit. Now let's go and look at a couple stories here. Oh, first of all, just so you know, that Kennedy and the MJ12 special, I don't want to leave you hanging because we only played 4 parts of it this week. There's a bit more. If you go to our page over at YouTube, you will be able to find that on today's playlist includes all the rest of the shows. There's 7 of them in total. So today you got episode 4, 5, 6, and 7 listed there. So you can go and just watch the whole thing and you won't miss any of what is there. It's a good spot, don't you? Good little story. All the information. Maybe you didn't realize that about Kennedy and his involvement. Maybe you did, and it's a refresher. Either way, good story. All right, here's a story that's coming to us from science.nasa.gov, and it's talking about a breakthrough in sunspot detection. Imagine forecasting a hurricane in Miami weeks before the storm was even a swirl of clouds off the coast of Africa, or predicting a tornado in Kansas from the flutter of a butterfly's wing in Texas. These are the kind of forecasts meteorologists can only dream about. Could the dream come true? A new study by Stanford researchers suggests that such forecasts may be possible, not on Earth, but on the Sun. We have learned to detect sunspots before they are visible to the human eye, says Stathis Idonis, a PhD student at Stanford University. This could lead to significant advances in space weather forecasting. Sunspots are the butterfly wings of the solar storms, visible to the human eye as dark blemishes on the solar disk. Sunspots are the starting points of exposure flares and coronal mass ejections that sometimes hit our planet 93 million miles away. Consequences range from northern lights to radio blackouts to power outages. Astronomers have been studying sunspots for more than 400 years. They have pieced together their basic characteristics. Sunspots are planet-sized islands of magnetism that float in solar plasma. Although the details are still debated, researchers generally agree that sunspots are born deep inside the sun via the action of the sun's inner magnetic dynamo. From there, they bob to the top, carried upward by magnetic buoyancy. A sunspot emerging at the stellar surface is a bit like a submarine emerging from the ocean depths. It says in the August 19th issue of Science, Ilonis and co-workers Junwei Zhao and Alexander Koschev announced that they can see some sunspots while they are still submerged. Their analysis technique is called time-distance helioseismology, and it is similar to an approach widely used in earthquake studies. Just as the seismic waves traveling through the body of the Earth reveal what is inside the planet, acoustic waves traveling through the body of the sun can reveal what is inside the star. Fortunately, helioseismologist, the sun has acoustic waves in abundance. The body of the sun is literally roaring with turbulent, boiling motions. This sets the stage for early detection of sunspots. Pretty fascinating. There's more to that article. So, planet-sized, that's pretty darn large, don't you think? Planet-sized islands of magnetism. So whole planets of magnetism are boiling up from within the sun, and they boil to the top, and then they erupt as these coronal mass ejections that send out these waves towards whichever direction they're heading, sometimes to the Earth. And when they come out either as a C-class, or an M-class, or an X-class solar flare. C-class is the small kind of solar flares. It's like the low, small. They get those more frequently, and we're not really affected too much by those. When you get to the next higher level, the M-class, those are a little bit more intense, and there's the possibility that we could feel some effect from that. All of these classes, they have 9 levels, so you could have a M class 1 all the way up through an M class 9. Each one gets a little bit more intense. And of course, the most significant of these are the X class flares, and these are the really intense ones that when they hit the planet, well, sometimes we feel it gets really warm. Sometimes there's different electromagnetic things that take place on the planet. And of course, we see at spaceweather.com, that's where they talk about things like this over here, where they show you, the different forecasts for the geomagnetic storms, what may or may not be happening. All right, the article's up on our page. You can check that out. Now, this story is quite intriguing here. Video shows the fall of a meteorite in Cusco. Residents of Cusco were astonished to see a fireball in the sky, leaving a long trail of fire. As I have seen a video aired by Channel N, the sighting was by averaging the 2 in the afternoon in the south of Cusco between San Sebastian and San Geronimo. There is scientific hypothesis for this kind of phenomena with the cause of the several fires that occur there. All right, let's take a look at this.
¿Se está ya controlando? ¿Sabes alguna información sobre este tema?
Sí, los incendios forestales se están dando en diferentes zonas de la región Cusco. Y lógicamente este tipo de fenómenos hacen que caigan en algunos de los sectores donde son, donde existe plantaciones que están completamente...
All right, quite fascinating. See that fireball zipping through the sky. How'd you like to look up and see something like that zipping through? You never know. We're in those days when all kind of crazy things do happen. All right, moving right along. Let's take a little bit more of a look at this hurricane, and we're going to do this through Dutch Sins, who, well, you know the drill about him. He's very good at what he does, is pointing out these weather anomalies and phenomena, and his reports are pretty right on. So let's listen to what he has to say here about this hurricane.
Hey everybody, Dutch Sense here. It is 3:02 a.m. Central Time on Friday, August 26, 2011. And we're looking at Hurricane Irene here, and it's right where my mouse is. It's spinning up the east coast of the United States now, and let me zoom it in here so you can see it a little better. Earlier projections, let me go ahead and turn those on, showed it coming, some of the projections had it coming over South Carolina as of yesterday at about 5 a.m., and about 2 of the tracks, I think, went over South Carolina, and the rest went over North Carolina. Now they've made more corrections to the track, obviously, and they have it going over North Carolina, the Outer Banks, and then some of the tracks going up over New York and the East Coast. Most of them have it right out to sea, right along the coast of Washington, Philadelphia, New York. And these are the official projected tracks. Now, when I turn those off, you can kind of see the eye of the storm here, and just go ahead and watch it for a second here and see it's just kind of ever so slowly moving north. Last night it was right about here, and it was going northwest. Now it's made a straight north turn, and let's go ahead and turn on cloud cover and back it out. And you'll see the top shear begin to happen on the top of the storm, which is blowing to the east. And that in turn, of course, is pushing the entire storm to the northeast now along this northerly track. Now the storm wants to pull to the west, but the prevailing winds are going to push it to the east. And that's a good sign. Let's go ahead and look. Now, I'm not saying it's going to miss. I'm just saying it's getting pushed more out to the east than it was last night, which is a good sign. And if you want more professional analysis, you can go over to any of the weather channels and watch. I'm just going to show you what it shows on radar and on satellite. So here it is on INMET. This is from Brazil, but it goes satellite. So you can see it as it gets right up here along Florida. You see this system coming down from the north. And that is a really strong low-pressure system that's coming around, coming up off the coast right there. And it kind of leaves this open space right here off the coast. As this system pulls off, there's another one that's coming through. And I think that's what will eventually push it out to sea up north here, is this coming system that you see rotating over here. Let's go ahead and look at it on AccuWeather. Here it is again. Here's the eye of the storm, and I'll park my mouse on it. There we go. Okay, this is the last 24 hours. This is where it was last night, and it looked like it was going to continue going right this way. And then the prevailing winds push it to the east. And there you see it start to make the turn. So it looks like their tracks are somewhat right. It looks like it'll hit most likely North Carolina on the Outer Banks. Could make the turn early and then go out to sea as well. That is a possibility as well. I'd say the chances of it going to the west are fairly slim. I'm not going to say none, but definitely low chance of it now reaching South Carolina. Even most of North Carolina won't get the eye. Let's just wait for it again here. Let's take a look at it. Right in those last frames there, it started to make that right-hand turn. Okay, well, keep an eye on it, folks. The links are down below for all the satellite and radar data that you could possibly imagine, and go fish through that. You can find a lot of good shots of what's going on down there. Okay, so hang in there.
All right, so just to give you a look at this so you know what we're looking at here. All right, if you on the YouTube page there, when you go to this video, right in the bottom, what's kind of cool is you click where it says Show More, and all the links you could possibly want right here. You can go check. I mean, look at all these links. These are all weather-related links. You can go yourself and watch the weather all around the country and around the world. What's fascinating is if you watch the weather, you'll be able to find which weather organizations are hiding information and which ones are being more truthful. And because sometimes information will just disappear, or you'll see one map and you'll wonder, why are they showing that there's these events taking place here and this map doesn't show it? Why do some earthquakes register and others don't? And it kind of gets you understanding that some organizations try to keep information from you. Some are more truthful and honest. Now, there's something here that I thought was pretty cool, and I saw yesterday. I want to bring it to your attention in regards to this hurricane and any other events. This is one of the forums over here, Godlike Productions, and the poster put up, "Let's steer Irene out to sea. Are you with me?" And it's a whole posting here of people, concerned people, putting out information, talking about blowing this out to sea. Blowing this out to sea. And it's really cool to see this kind of thing. And I know that this probably isn't the only forum where there's stuff like that going on, because there's a lot of concerned people around the world. We are beings that have energy, that can use our energy to make changes in things. That is why at the end of every show we work on turning our spiritual armor on. We work on extending our auric fields, because we do have energetic fields, and if we were all to bond together in a common mindset, we could go out and perhaps